Y'all thought I wasn't coming back? Think again. Had that 3-game slate earlier today. Strider had all y'all shucking y'all pants. Didn't know what was gonna happen. Y'all like the shirt? Hey, you know we gotta represent hard, man. We doing a little something different, you know. Come on, man. Y'all think we faded over here? Come on, man. We coming with it. Coming with it, man. Already prepared. Got the money back.
Purchase your tracks today.
Yeah, man. So hopefully y'all had some success in the early bird. Hey, it ain't even daily fantasy. It's the day within the day. You can play early bird. You got showdown. You can play in the night.
Your tracks today.
So whatever you want to do. It's whatever you want, man. You just gotta use this up here, you know what I'm saying? Hey, that lineup construction was cold, wasn't it? For that early bird. Had that twins. I know y'all seen it for the views, you know, I'm up and coming, man, but hey, something special we growing here, you know what I'm saying? So we had that twins and Braves stack. It looked good. Looked over a lot of the some of the Sharks lineup. They had that formula, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, Acuna, Michael Harris, you know, that's the thing about the Braves. They're a complete team, you know. Well, one area is lacking, the other area picks up. If the pitching is lacking, the hitting picks up for the pitching. And can you believe Strider still end up getting the win? It's a little vibes today, you know, before we get into it. Settle the minds, you know what I'm saying? So on here, yeah, purchase some tracks. You know, I'm a big music person, and we got all that rolling coming through. Y'all gonna see a lot of that. Got something real special on the music side. Trying to infuse music with the sports, fantasy, daily fantasy. You know, music kind of gets you in the mood for a lot of what you're trying to do and get in the mindset, right? So, hey. Like that, man, you know what I'm saying? Alright, man, so we're gonna settle that right there, right? And we're gonna get into the real deal, what we all come here for. So, looking at everything today, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's a lot of games today, y'all. A lot of games. Kind of like the other night, so somebody's gonna get lucky. You got so much candy to choose from, man. Got a lot of candy, so we're gonna try to break it down. I know my stream's been going around an hour, man, but I like to be very in depth, man. You know, very in depth. I like to be very concise. I like to give both sides. I like to look into things that could possibly give you an edge, man. That's just, you know, when you coming up with a solution, that's what it's all about, man. You know, we can't half-ass nothing around here. All right, so a lot of games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so 12 games. Alright, we got another pitcher leading off the way. The pitcher I was trying to remember yesterday that kind of reminded me of Strider was Garrett Cole. They got a lot of similarities, a lot of power in their arsenal, but they can definitely frustrate you when they can't locate the ball and they just throw the ball straight down the pipe. And these are major league hitters. I don't care if they're rookies or they veterans. Like, I don't care if they're Torkelson or if they Miggy. They got a good eye. They're in the majors for a reason. Every player that puts a jersey on in the majors have been selected for some specific talent that they can bring to that organization. And that's what makes this this whole setup of daily fantasy very intriguing, and um, it's very, it's very unique. You can play somebody that doesn't get a lot of airtime or isn't on a big marquee team, and he can win you hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? If you just look at his strengths, look at his weaknesses, and look what is being put in front of him in the challenge, and you know, don't be afraid to take a risk. All this is risk assessment at the end of the day. It's like stock, buying stocks, but you buying players. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't really no right or wrong. I mean, DP talk about it a lot. And ain't no really no right or wrong, because you just never know when you choose a player and it's gonna be his day, and you have him on that right day, right? So you can't really get caught up in what you did today or yesterday or a week ago. Look forward. Today is another opportunity, and that's another reason why these platforms have been able to survive, because it's a daily event. And yeah, it does take a lot of skills. Yeah, you are wagering different monetary values. They give you a lot of different monetary things to choose from, but at the end of the day, it takes a lot of insight and skill and trust in your inner abilities, as a fan of the game. Alright, so I can start preaching here. So we'll try to get into some of the metrics here, of course. So we got Toronto and Baltimore. Once again, kind of piggybacking off of the last couple of episodes. This is a AL East divisional game. Last time they played, Orioles got the best of Toronto. They really did. Let's go ahead on the interface on DraftKings. You can click these checks right here, and it just focuses on that game, and it helps us to focus in on it also. So again, you saw the grit today, as I talked about in the early bird contest. You're gonna see the grit being tested of these underachieving teams. Again, Cardinals at home, they blew it, 8-5. They had a chance to redeem themselves, and they lost the first two games in that series versus the Giants. Will Toronto copycat that again? Again, this is a team that needs to win. Every time they lose to a divisional rival, they losing not only a game on their rival, but the person who's in first place, which is Tampa Bay. They're digging themselves in a hole, right? So I'm going to refresh this right here. And for those of y'all coming on today, I always like to look at the standings. I always like to look at covers. I always look at some splits. Again, here's the AL East. Again, Baltimore, they're fighting this year. 42-24, winners of their last 5, 7-3. In their last 10, man. I mean, they have a no fair attitude. Next man up mentality is what they're building there in Baltimore. Very impressive what that team is doing, I like them a lot, Toronto, on the other hand, they're 6-4. They've been trying to put it on a little bit, but they're 10 games back now. This is a big spot for them. A very big spot. All right, so Barrios, he used to pitch for the Twins. Again, the problem with some of the teams in the AL East who have big expectations has been their pitching. You saw that with Severino last night. And they having issues also in Toronto. They had to send Alex Manoah down, who used to be very good for them over the past couple of years. So out of their rotation, they're looking to this guy to kind of anchor everything. Outside of Gosman, this is probably their next guy up. He's been kind of mediocre this year. He has a winning record, 6-4. Can he get a job against Baltimore? Again, this is another right-hander having to go up against their left-hand bats. Let's click on splits. He has no games this year against Baltimore. At home, 1.02 whip, 2.37 ERA. He's scoring an FPPG of 20.2, 3-1 record. Looks good. Everything here looks good. Winning record at home. In the 30 innings pitch, he's giving up only 3 home runs. So that's not bad. It's not walking that many people as opposed to his inning pitch in away games. Got a few strikeouts there. Almost a strikeout per inning. So is this someone that you can say, hey, could they lead the parade to a win behind this pitcher to keep the Baltimore bats at bay? Yeah, definitely. So let's go ahead and look this up real quick, and let's see how he does against left-handers. All right, so we're gonna go. So we type in Jose Berrios. We'll go on the RotoWire to look at split stats. All right, 70 strikeouts. It's not bad. We'll get into that here in a minute. Berrios versus lefties. Got the same amount of home runs. Faced about 152 batters versus left, 165 versus right. 3.57 ERA, 14 walks, 10 doubles, a lot of extra base hits there. 152 batters. It's kind of mediocre, honestly. Again, it's nothing like that jumps out at you. Let's look at his home. It's 3-1 at home. 2.37 ERA. That's very good. His whip is 1.02. That's good. He's giving up 3 home runs and 30 innings pitches at home. 7 walks. So he's probably walking 1 out of every 4 batters he's facing. So can you take a flyer on this guy? Now this is kind of alarming in night games. He's 4.20 ERA. This is in 60 innings pitches. 5-4 in night games. 20. He's giving up 26 RBIs and 60 innings pitches. So he's very mediocre. And looking at what happened to Manoah, honestly, is there any trust going on between the pitching coach and the pitchers? I think with Gosman, it's just all effort and talent with him and determination. I mean, he'll get in the hole and he'll bail you out with 8. He'll sit the next 3 guys down, strikeouts consecutively. I don't really see anybody else on this team performing like him. Again, mediocre is when you're getting anywhere from 8 to 14 points out of your pitcher, to me. He got 13.9 against Houston. We'll give him a fly on that. He did win. He kept him to 2 runs. 19.3 versus the Mets. That's 9,400. That's kind of right there, borderline against Minnesota. So, in his last 5 games, and none of these teams are pushovers. He's done pretty good against the Yankees. 20 points. We just saw the Yankees, what they did to Scherzer yesterday. They can be hot. Tampa Bay had a lot of run support in that game back on the 23rd of May. 23 fantasy points. So overall, I'm liking Berrios. I know he's a right-hander. He's going against some lefties for Baltimore. Let's see if we can get some confirmed lineups here. Let's refresh this from earlier today. Let's see what RotoWire got. RotoWire, our buddies over there, giving us the info, right? So right now I got a confirmed lineup. We got Big GH there at the top. Once again, had a great game yesterday. Pretty sure the analytics and scouting reports are going to be trying to fizzle him out today. Rushman is going to be banned from the left side. Santander from the left side. Ryan O'Hearn. So you can already see the strategy. First 4 batters that Berrios is going to face is all left-handers. And all of them can take him out of the park. Every single one of them. Then he got Austin Hayes in the 5th spot. Aaron Hicks had a great game yesterday. Everybody's been talking about why the Yankees batting coaches couldn't get him on board. They look like they changed. He's been choking up on the bat. and he's been getting a lot more contact to the barrel, and he's been hitting for more power. I mean, he had a home run yesterday, pulled it with no effort. That's his strengths. So 5 out of the first 6 batters, actually 8 out of the first 9 batters, all lefties. That does not fare well for Barrios at all. At all. I don't care what situation that they are in. That doesn't look good at all. So you can still play him, but again, we looked at his splits. Let's see what he looks at with runners in scoring position. That's pretty impressive. .89 whip. Got 4 doubles. 74 batters. I'm not concerned about this. Are we looking at the right thing? 8.41 ERA. No way. Hold on. That can't be right. 8.41 ERA. Wow. I don't understand that. 17 RBI. So, what in the situational, Barrios does not look good, and Baltimore can get guys on base. Okay. Again, no opponent stats against them yet. 1-1 count, 15.88 ERA. Alright, when he gets a 3-2 count, 4.50 ERA. So this guy doesn't need it. If he starts getting behind in the count, that doesn't look good at all. Bases loaded, 9.0 ERA. So we saw what Baltimore did yesterday. There was a machine and putting runs in. Again, I'm not going to defer Barrios. He is a veteran pitcher. He has been great in certain spots in his career, but Toronto overall as a team, they're not overachieving. They're barely achieving right now. All right. Again, their record is 37-31. In the AL East, you got to be a lot better than that if you want to be competing. I mean, yeah, it's above 500, but they're still 10 games back. And that team has a lot of talent on it. They still have not gotten it together. I don't spend a lot of time on them. We went over the lineup for Baltimore. Stacked the lefties. You saw, look at the eye test and the sample size that happened yesterday. Run it back again. Get a few of their lefties in there. Get Santander in there. Rushman. Hicks is going to be pretty affordable. Frazier, they're looking good. I mean, can Gunnar keep it up? He's going to cool off at some time, right? But what are we more worried about? Him cooling off or him having a great game, right? I mean, right now, he pretty much got Toronto by the balls right now. They probably might not even want to pitch to this guy. Not Rushman, I'm sorry. They might not even want to pitch to Gunnar right now, the way he's owning everything there at the top of the order. I mean, a guy, I think, had a grand slam yesterday. I think Kiermaier tried to steal that ball in center field, but couldn't do it. Amazing, man. 3 out of his 4. He might have been saying over his last 5 games, he's been averaging over 20 fantasy points. 2 3-hit games. Actually, in the last 4 games, he's had 3 out of 4 of those games, 3-hit games. I mean, that's some impressive stuff. And when you got somebody that's setting the tone at the top of the order, he can pretty much keep that carousel rolling, right? All right, so Bradish, I've watched Bradish, and if y'all want some feedback on him, he's 6,200. His ERA is a little inflated. That's due to some low innings pitched and high earned runs he's given up. So he had a -14 against Boston back in April. He had 8 against San Francisco, 8-point game there. He gives up a lot of hits. In some of his games, he'll give up more hits than the innings he's pitched. So, in a must-win situation, a desperate situation for Toronto today, I would stay away from Bradish. I mean, yeah, he got some 20-point fantasy points games. You're gonna say, "Oh man, I disagree with you, JB. He hasn't won in his last 4 games, and the offense may get him some run support, but this might be a bloodbath between these two teams today. Two mediocre pitchers. They do have a high upside in the 20s, and then they have their ground is like 3-4 points. I've seen barrels get lit up before, so just proceed with caution with the pitchers if you are trying to buy down to get maybe up to Cole or somebody like that. Toronto, like St. Louis situation, they got a lot to play for right now. If they don't start winning some games, they don't start looking at that management staff. They don't start looking at management, and some of these players might even get called out. All right, so they got their usual suspects. George Springer's always been a high WAR player. Bichette, power. Guerrero, power. I don't need to speak on this lineup. I mean, Kirk had some timely hits yesterday. They tried to make a last-minute run, but it wasn't enough. Kirk has been swinging the bat. He's 2,600. Looking at Biggio, had a home run yesterday. He's looking pretty good. You got to kind of catch Biggio when he's hot. He's very streaky. 2 hits in his last 2 games. We haven't seen this out of Biggio in a while. 2 home runs back to back. You can take a flyer on him. Kiermaier, if he gets on base, he's a very good defender. He's kind of struggling at the plate right now. He could wake up. Again, roster some left-hand bats from Baltimore, or roster some left-hand bats from the Blue Jays. Merrifield, kind of mediocre. He is hitting for 300 this year, but his power is down. 2 home runs. He doesn't have a lot of power this year. I do like Varsho. It looks like they moved him up to the 3rd spot. That's very attractable. Varsho does have power. He can hit the ball in the gaps. He's a good left-hand bat in that lineup. So normally he bats after Guerrero, but he's batting in front of him, so he's gonna have some RBI opportunities. So from the bat standpoints, top of the order is looking good for both teams, and left-hand batters is looking good for both teams. Probably the best right-hand batter with power is Guerrero, and I look at his 1 split. Again, he's been sitting on 9 home runs for a while. Guerrero 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He hasn't went deep in 8 games, and this is the guy that's very notable in the home run derbies. He's always up there around 30 home runs a year of that capacity, but he's in for a good average, but his power is not, he should be more around 15 home runs, for where they have him and his expectations in that lineup. Hasn't had a 20-point fantasy point game since the 4th of June. Not too long ago, probably a little over a week ago, but, I expect a lot more out of him. Especially in a team that needs to make up ground. He needs to have like some of those Gunnar Henderson numbers, like 3 games where he's just like a tyrant at the plate. But you can roster him today. I like both sides offensively. Proceed with caution with both of the pitchers. If you want to use some sports psyche to say, hey, they're hyping up Barrios, it starts with him to set the tone and calm these bats down for Baltimore. You can kind of project that may be an outcome, but again, Baltimore, they're not where they are in that division because they take their foot off of your neck. They want to prove a point this year. And that franchise has been struggling for years since the Iron Man days. So we'll move on from that one. I don't see any issues with any weather in that one. And yeah, in Camden Yards is get them lefties in there. The wind is blowing out about 10 to 12 miles average to right field. It's gonna be clear skies there. All right. Now the next game is the Rockies and Red Sox game. This looks like this one's going to get rained out. So they're about 75% chance of rain. On DK Live, it's all in red. Caution. They got Gomber and Whitlock on the mound. That might be a good thing for Gomber because I've never seen a more shittier damn pitcher in my life. I mean, he single-handedly, if you know, in the San Diego game, yeah, he single-handedly just let San Diego run away with a slate when they had Gomer on the mound. Like, so it might be a good thing that the gods of the weather is allowing him to probably not pitch today because he's been totally awful. Left-hand pitcher. I don't know why they haven't sent him down. I mean, Colorado don't have a lot of pitching to begin with, but this guy should be in the bullpen. He shouldn't be starting right now. Magically, if this game gets played, I don't know what the weather radar looks like. I would onslaught put a Boston stack in. No doubt about it. Stack them. You know, we saw Devers heat up yesterday. According to this, it doesn't look like Devers is in the lineup. So they're more focusing on right-hand bats, which they should, because this guy cannot get right-handers out at all. Like, as soon as that first inning started for San Diego, Tatis was hitting them hard. I think Tatis had a home run in that game. Machado went deep. I mean, everybody was just teeing off. Even some of the left-handers. Everybody was just teeing off on this guy, man. So they got Ref Snyder at the top. Turner, great play. They got Verdugo. Duvall probably will wake up. Arroyo has been hitting very good. I like Connor Wong. Pablo Reyes, he was very active in the game last night. So the right-handers here, they do have a lot of appeal. Ref Snyder does have some speed. He has some ability to make contact. So, yeah, definitely get Connor Wong in there. He definitely is one of the more, hit the contact catchers in the league. They got Duvall from the Braves. He has hits for power. He was hitting some shots yesterday, just kind of hit him at people. But yeah, I mean, Boston needs to win. I think they coughed up that game yesterday to Colorado. They lost by 1 run. I remember that game, the last inning. Their bullpen will have some issues, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that Colorado-Boston game. I don't think that game is going to get put in, to be honest with you. I don't really like Whitlock like that. He's the better of the two pitchers, but he's almost up to 5 ERA. He's very shaky. Yeah, he had a good game against the Yankees, but Colorado's coming into this series. They looking very loose. They looking like they just don't have anything to worry about. No pressure on them. All the pressure is on Boston. Again, he had a -5 game against Milwaukee, and Milwaukee got some good left-hand bats in their lineup. So I'm not putting any stock into anybody in this game. Let's be fair. We can go ahead and look at Colorado's lineup. They got Nolan Jones, Matt Mann, who's one of my favorite players in that lineup. I gave you the juice on Grichuk yesterday. Castro. I mean, the bottom of the order is kind of weak with Wins and Montero and Doyle, but if you're going to go with this lineup, you want to definitely roster Nolan, who's filling in for, I can't remember yet the guy's name, just on the tip of my tongue. I'm not going to be happy if I don't know what this is, so let's go ahead. I'm not going to be happy. I want to tell you who it is. Blackman, yeah, he's filling in for Blackman. My bad, yeah, guys. So that top of the order is very important for them to get things rolling, especially against a pitcher like Whitlock. Those left-handers are gonna have to make sure they force him to put the ball over the plate, get on base. You got Tovar. He's been second spot in just about all the lineups are very important. Tavares kind of mediocre, 0.682. He got a little power there, you know. Um, he has some double-digit fantasy points games. Like I said, they ain't got nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? And if those guys can get on the base and get the McMahon and Diaz, these two guys, these are the guys that can put a ball over the fence. And Boston's been having a lot of issues with their pitchers. So I haven't really went to covers yet. So let's go ahead and review covers for the first two games. Again, that Baltimore game, just like how I broke it down, pretty much deadlock even in consensus. 51% for Toronto, 49% for Baltimore. It's a coin toss. 9 over under, that's scoring a lot of offense. I'll stay away from that game. Boston is the favorite today, even with no Devers in the lineup. They're still favored. Interesting. 67% consensus for the fans. Minus 230 on the money line. Had they learned anything from the game last night? They must really think Whitlock is some Chris Sale up there. But hey, it is a must-win situation. They're 2 games under 500. Again, when you look at Boston, they're at the bottom of the AL East. They're 14 games behind. If they don't wake up, they're going to be just out there just trying to be spoilers for the rest of the year. So, yeah, I mean, if you're in the betting world, if you want to take Boston, yeah, go ahead. Again, they do have a more talented team, but sometimes talent doesn't equate to wins, which is what their season looks like. They're 15. Well, according to this, they're 17 to 18 at home. So they're playing about 500 at home. So, this is a game I really wouldn't focus on pitching wise. If the game does get playing, Gomer's been totally awful. I'll go with the Boston bats for sure. I would, if you want to take a one-off or a flyer on somebody in Colorado, it would just be Diaz and McMahon. Again, they don't have Profar in the lineup today, so that does help Whitlock. Profile have been looking pretty good at the plate, so not a lot of bats I really like for Colorado outside the middle of the order with McMahon and Diaz. That's about it. They could probably get a Whitlock if there's a few runners get on. They might be able to hit a 2 or 3 run home run for you. Alright, so we move on to the next game, the Subway Series. We got the Yankees and the Mets. I mean, again, Cole can look like, Superman up there, and then sometimes he can look like a character off of Sesame Street. So, again, he's another prototype of a Spencer Strider kind of player that we had early in the early bird. $11,000. Again, the high price tag is due to his strikeout ability. He's almost pushing 100 strikeouts this year. Impressive win-loss records. He usually doesn't get a lot of run support. He wasn't getting a lot of run support early in the year. He could probably have easily been over 10 wins by now. Alright, he's had some issues with the long ball. Gave up 2 against San Diego, 2 against Baltimore, gave up 1 against Boston. Normally you expect this guy to get you 7 innings with his stuff, because he can get out of innings quickly, but that hasn't been the case this year. Again, they stole one from the Mets yesterday. They took out Scherzer. This is a game, once again, where the Mets are probably running on a little bit of momentum. Let's look at the standings. Again, they got to keep pace with Tampa and Baltimore. Baltimore won yesterday. They're in the AL East showdown with Toronto. So if Yankees can continue to win, if they can get at least 2 out of 3, it's a victory for them. And this is one that they should win. They should put the the Mets away today. Cole, if they can find some way to get to Verlander, and he can get going. Look at this guy's ERA. Not good. 4.85. He got lit up by Atlanta. He got lit up by Colorado. He got lit up by Tampa Bay. He has been very inconsistent. In his last 2 games, DK has his salary under 9,000, so that's not a good look for him. Could this be a bounce back spot for him? Of course. The Yankees, when they look bad at the plate, they look bad. And when they look good at the plate, they look good. So we know Verlander is a righty. They're going with Bowers up there again at the top. They're not putting Volpe up there, which I think, against aces, it's probably better for Volpe to not have a lot of pressure in that leadoff spot. Because I'm telling you, the spotlight as a Yankee leading off right now, you got a lot of pressure on you. So I commend Bowers for taking that spot. He got a bloop single yesterday. That's one thing, Bowers, he's going to try to put the barrel on the ball. Stanton goes up to 2. JD at 3 and Rizzo at 4. So they got Rizzo out of 3 and put him in the 4th spot. So they're looking to try to do some damage. They're going to try to intimidate Verlander. It looks like they got some plans for their lefties with Rizzo, Bowers, and McKinney. We finally saw LeMahieu get out of that slump yesterday. He had a home run. Ironically, he pulled the ball because normally he's an opposite field hitter. But the Mets, man, I'm just looking at their record. I just shake my head. 31 and 36, just not good at all. You can't be dropping games like that with your ace on the mound like they did yesterday to the Yankees. So Yankees are finding ways to stay above 500. They're finding ways to win with Stanton being out, Judge being out. I commend them for that. And even LeMahieu playing down and Volpe inconsistent. How they're winning, I don't know, but that's the Yankees. They're going to fight, right? So definitely like Cole. You can go with Verlander. I don't really fear anybody in their lineup, in the Yankees lineup. These are more seasoned veterans. JD, you just never know what side of the bed he wakes up on. You got to be careful how you throw to Stanton. I believe Verlander knows what not to do in his head against the Yankees, but can that translate to what he actually does is a big question mark. You already see who has a better winning record. You already know who has a better ERA out of the 2. That's Cole. So if you ask me who I'm going to take, I'm going to go with Cole. Yeah, the Mets do got to play for a lot, but they've been needing to play a lot for a lot of stuff like St. Louis all year, and they not coming up with the results. So, looking at what they're trying to do against Cole, of course, they're going to try to expose the lefties to him. They got Nemo at the top. Nemo has a great eye. He's one of my favorite players in the league. Marte's in the 2 spot, McNeil in the 3. Again, that hurts them because Cole normally gives up home runs to a lot of power hitters, and they're missing Alonso on that lineup. I don't care what nobody said. That hurts them a lot. I know Alvarez and Beatty are trying to use the playing time they have wisely and show the organization that they're worthy, but that's not going to be enough against a guy like Cole, man. So we saw a lot of offense yesterday. Don't be surprised if you see a lot of pitching today, honestly. Let's try to back that up. Let's go to covers and see what they say. Again, they got a 7.5 over-under, so same thing like I'm saying in my head. They're sporting pitching in this. Anything under 8 is, again, looking more pitching. They got a close money line, minus 115 for the Mets and minus 105. So this is another toss-up game, just like pretty much all AL East teams when they play is almost like a toss-up. You just never know, man. They can take you out real quick, or they can just have you on the ropes. Again, look at that. Yankees 18-12 on the road. That's impressive. So they hold it together sometimes when they're not doing good. They're hard out when they come to your gym, when they come to your house. Mets are 31-36 at home. This is a game that they need to try to redeem themselves. They do have a pitcher that can do that. I do see a lot of pitching in this game. I don't see a lot of offense. So I don't really like too many of the bats in this game at all. Somebody's going to have to score, and it probably might be via home run. Can Lindor get to Cole? Yeah, he probably can if he makes a mistake. Can Nemo McNeil? I would take the lefties from the Mets, at least 2 or 3 of them. And hopefully, they might get to Cole early. That Cole is like Strider. You got to get to him in that first inning. And if they get in a rhythm, forget it. It ain't happening. For the other side, continue to go with Rizzo. I already know his splits versus righties. He's very good against right-hand pitchers. He's due for another multi-home run game. He's got nothing but goose eggs in the home run department. So I think that's why they got him in the 4th. They expecting him to do some cleanup business today. I do like Rizzo. Alright. Stanton is always a must play with his ability, his velocity off the bat. You can kind of ride a LeMahieu. Maybe it's a turn for him. Maybe this is a good sign of things to come. He went deep yesterday. So you can run back LeMahieu, run back Stanton. They both had home runs. Put Rizzo, Stanton. Bowers is great against right-handers. You can run that top of the lineup. Do that 1, 2. I don't really care for JD, but you could put him in there if you want to keep the carousel going. You can do the 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can probably do a 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, because Volpe is batting 9th. You can just run that with the Yankees and see what happens. Verlander is like Scherzer. He's lost some of his velocity. He's not the same pitcher, but when he was with Houston. All right, so hopefully that helps in dissecting that game. And go to the LA, Anaheim, and Texas game. Don't have a confirmed lineup on DK. Let's see. So we do have one for Texas now. Let's refresh this because we're coming up on the 5:30 mark here in the afternoon. So let's see if we can catch anything being confirmed. Alright, so we only have an expected lineup for Anaheim. And Anaheim been doing pretty good lately. Let's see. They handled Texas the first couple of games. Look at this. And they won without Trout in that lineup the other day. 8-2 in their last 10 games. Winners of their last 3. And Texas ain't no pushover. Otani's looking like an MVP in that series right now. So right now they're pushing them. They coming in on the road with a mission to gain ground on Texas, and I commend them. 4.5 games out. No one really expected the Angels with their pitching and bullpen to be in that position where they're at right now. So can they make it 3 out of 3? So let's look at what they got on the mound. Alright, so they got the lefty Haney for Texas. 2 lefties on the mound. And Detmers is back up. His shot again. Detmers has been pretty solid at times. His ERA and winning record doesn't show that, but he's had some good games. Against Cubs, he had 26 fantasy points. When you're a pitcher for that Anaheim, it's tough because they got some great names in their lineup, but that doesn't always result in runs. Like they can get shut down. They'll get runners in scoring position. They kind of like the AL. They're like the AL without the record being involved. They're like the AL Cardinals when it comes to bringing runners in. But when they do get on that train, and Trout and Ohtani is looking good, they got Neto batting very good at the bottom of that order, and Drury. They can run up runs with anybody. Trust me, they can. So he's a lefty, and that does kind of help Anaheim because they do have some impressive left-hand batters in the Texas lineup, and we all know one of them is Corey Seager. But the coaching staff ain't taking Seager out for no lefty on the mound. I can tell you that. I did roster Simeon the other night. He didn't really. He was looked like he was pressing at the plate. I would probably run him back. This is a must-win for them. They don't want to keep losing ground to one of their divisional rivals. Trust me, that's not something that they signed up for in this series at home. Jonah Heim had some good bats yesterday, batting from left. Josh Jung, hey, I mean, a right-hand batter, very good. Garcia, he can put up a 30 spot against the right pitcher. They're looking pretty dangerous today with a lefty up there, because Marcus Semien is one of the league's, in his history, one of the best hitters in the WAR department. So they got Duran batting third today. So they're expecting some kind of shifting. They're trying to get that offense going like they know it is. Mitch Garver, I always liked him from when he was with Minnesota. I'm liking this lineup. Grossman batting from the right-hand side. Tavares, another good hitter. They're looking good. I do like a Texas stack today. Alright, so let's go ahead and do a quick rundown. So let's look up Detmers versus Wright. He's a lefty, right? So got a high ERA, not a very good winning record. This is what he looks against the team. So Simeon is batting .364 against him. Corey Seager, .273. He's got a homer on him, even batting from the left-hand side. Simeon got a triple on him. Alright. So let's look at one last thing. I do want to. Let's get back to that. I want to get that right. Let's go back. Hold on. That's his versus batters. It's kind of interesting. They didn't bring up the page that I want. So you can already see in that last projection versus righties, only giving up 3 home runs and 196 batters. A lot of stolen bases, 8 stolen bases versus righties. Wow. He's looking at them, being a lefty, but they're still running on him. His ERA is high. I don't really care for it. I would stay away from Detmers today, honestly. And I mean, these guys are gonna probably be very hungry. Haney is another lefty going against, kind of neutralizing Ohtani from the left hand, but Ohtani still has power to the left hand side against lefties. I've seen that guy hit opposite field against lefties, and it ain't no joke. I'm gonna tell you that right now. He's seen the ball real good right now. He's on a mission. So Haney hasn't won his last 2 games. He's pretty solid. I mean, I know his ERA is over 4. He has a .500 record. He has a pretty decent amount of strikeouts. But him turning some of their switch hitters like Rengifo to the right side, he's a little bit more weaker there. He does have to pitch to a rested Trout today, and I would have Trout in my lineup. I mean, he gotta go Rendon. Rendon's put up some pretty good numbers versus Texas in his career. Taylor Ward, again, I see a lot of offense in this game, to be honest with you. Let's go to coverage and see what they got to say. Open over under of 10. Same thing just came to my mind, man. I'll get bats in both of these games. This is a game right here where you can get a lot of offense, man. Don't be surprised if I come with some A's in Texas today in my lineup. 73% consensus for Texas, minus 135 on the money line. So Vegas has them as a favorite. Again, they're at the top of the division, so of course their record is going to be impressive at home, 21-11 at home, 41-25 overall. So these going to be two teams kind of again another kind of battling it out, just like the Orioles and Blue Jays game. Love the offense here. Don't really recommend any of the pitchers. I mean, if you do want to take any of the pitchers, you'll probably want to go with the favorite with Haney, but I would probably I would stay away from that. Honestly, I wouldn't do that. I would not do that at all. Because once again, I think that skipper for the Angels, he's found something right now in that team. I cannot believe how Neto is batting right now. It's quite. Hey, Neto took me out of some big money over the last few days. I'm trying to tell you, man. And Ward is doing good, leading off. I mean, those right-hand batters, Rendon, Drury, Trout, Renfro. I don't trust. I know I like Haney, but I don't know about all that. So a lot of Mike Trout's damage has been more against righties. He's only had 2 home runs against left. Slugging's still not bad, but this guy's an all-star, man. You know what I'm saying? Away, 271, .908 OPS, .508, and get Trout in there. He's coming off the rest, man. Get Trout in there. They don't as expected, but look here. Trout, Rendon, Drury, Renfro. I like all of them. Neto, like all their right-handers. Get them in the lineup, man. Get them in the lineup. 10 over under. That's offense all day. All right, so hopefully that helps a little bit. Again, with the Texas guys, again, we looked at Simeon has had a triple off of Detmers. You can't really IC. These guys are expensive, so I don't know how you're going to get great pitching if you roster a Texas stack, because they are highly, highly salaried. Garcia, 5,500. Hyman, everybody's over like 4,500. Even Mitch Garver is 4,200. All right, so that's the only problem with doing a Texas stack. You're going to probably be limited with. You're not going to probably get to a cold if you get to a lot of their hitters. But that's telling you right there, a lot of offense is probably projected out that game. All right, let's go to the next game. Pittsburgh and Chicago. We saw Chicago just went on a tyrant yesterday. I don't see any picture on DK for Pittsburgh being listed. That might be a good thing. They might just need to put a machine up there on the mound to pitch for Pittsburgh, because none of their young guys are doing anything right now. But they have on here expected Osvaldo Bido. Looks like he's somebody being called up to make his start or something. Drew Smiley, the veteran lefty. I didn't mean to click on that. Let's get out of that. So Cubs kind of stole the show yesterday. I'm gonna go with the DK Live real quick, you guys. And they had an 11-run output game yesterday. Their bats was seeing everything yesterday. So they got a confirmed lineup with Tauchman, Nico, Suzuki, Happ. I told everybody I liked Happ yesterday. Swanson, Morel. No Patrick Wisdom in the lineup, but again, they're not names that jump out at you, but these guys can swing the bat. Looking at their box score from yesterday, Tauchman had 2 hits with 10 fantasy points. Nico Horner had 16 fantasy points. Suzuki had 9. Ian Happ had 28. Dansby had 8. Mervis had 5. Madrigal had 6. Barnhart had 8. I mean, it was just their night. It came kind of in their bullpen, Pittsburgh. Johan Ramirez gave up 4 earned runs, so they put up a 3 spot in the first inning. They went scoreless for 4 innings, and then when the bullpen came in for Pirates, they murdered them, man. and the Pirates only put up 3 runs. The only bright spot for them was Sawinski yesterday. He had a 2 home run game. So Pittsburgh needed it's kind of tough, man. I cannot put my money on a pitcher that's coming up in Beto's spot against a team that just put up 11 runs yesterday. I won't recommend it. He's a right-hander, so again, Hap looks good again from the left-hand side. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy starts walking a lot of guys. You don't want to walk batters against Chicago at all. You don't want to do that. They got some speed with Madrigal and Talkman. Nico will run. Swanson will run. They're going to incorporate a little speed on the bases. This team you can see, they can generate runs, man. Their 29-37 record is kind of a facade. They're not a team that you want to take lightly. And the Pirates, they've been playing pretty solid this year, but right now their pitching is kind of really letting them down, and that doesn't speak volumes going against a team like Chicago. Somali is a veteran, man, and when you have a young team and you got a veteran that can kind of move the ball around the plate and locate, that might not be very good for their young batters like Castro, Sawinski, Hayes, Connor. They do have some veterans in there with McCutchen, and let's look him up. McCutchen might be a catalyst for them today. Again, they don't have a confirmed lineup yet, but I don't think he played yesterday. He was off. They gave him the day off. He hasn't had a home run in a while. He hasn't had a multi-hit game since the 2nd of June. He always tried to contribute in some kind of way, even if it's just getting a sac fly or getting a walk. Or, he's had a walk like in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he is patient at times. But he doesn't have the bat speed like he used to back in the day when he first came up with the Pirates. But he's a vet on that team. He's a crowd pleaser. He's a big staple in the community in Pittsburgh. You roster him. This is a game that they need to try to get back. Let's see how he looks against lefties. Alright, so let's see what his stats look like. Everybody. 8 home runs is pretty serviceable for what, they're asking him to do this year. I think that's a good return on the investment for bringing him back. More of his home runs has come versus right, 5 in 135 at bats. His slugging is slightly better against lefties with less at bats. He has 3 home runs against lefties, 7 extra base hits and less at bats. So he looks good against lefties, honestly. He has 7 stolen bases on the season, so he might take off. He does have that ability at home. .804 OPS, 281 average, 3 of his home runs and 96 at bats. So he's pretty solid. So I'm gonna look up Smiley too, but yeah, you can roster McCutchen. The Sharks will take a risk by playing Pittsburgh. Trust me. They're in their division. Okay, let's keep it real now. They're 34-31. They're in front of Milwaukee and St. Louis and Chicago. They're taking advantage of the poor play from the other teams, so they're doing something right. They have an 18-16 record at home. Again, they're playing around 500 balls, so their home and road record would probably most likely be the same. But if you want to cook up something with Pittsburgh, yeah, their expected lineup is McCutchen. I like that. Reynolds. Again, he's better from the left-hand side, but he can still bat from the right. Connor, Santana, he's better from the left-hand side. Cabrin Hayes can put together a good game, so I like their lineup today. I do. Let's look up one last stat before we move on from this game. So let's see what Drew Smiley looks like. I don't think they're gonna give me what I'm looking for, but they're gonna give me this other stat line versus batter stats, which is what I want to see. But Carlos Santana 300. Carlos Santana has some good stats against him. He does. Have go McCutcheon right here, 267. He has 15 at bats. He's homered off of him. 4 RBIs. He got a stolen base on him. OPS .979. So there you go. You got 2 Brian Reynolds. Here we go. 1.067 OPS. .667 slugging. So that's pretty impressive, guys. So 3 of their hitters there at the top of that order have some good stats. McCutcheon, Reynolds, Santana. So there you go. I'll probably roster that top 5. Hayes, Santana, Joe. I'll go with that. Let's look at. Yeah, I like Pittsburgh right now. Looking at those projections, I like that. Alright, let's look at the monster guy from yesterday. Let's see if he has anything going for him. 24 years old, very young. Up and coming player. This guy has 15 home runs. You know what I'm saying? He got more home runs than Guerrero. So, versus lefties, no home runs. Alright. OPS .555. So you can see most of his damage is against right hand. All his home runs have come against right hand pitching. Jack Sawinski is like a Bowers. Bowers is great against right handers as a lefty, and Sawinski is great against right handers. So don't really put too much stock. Just take the first 5 with them. Alright, so overall in this game, what we're looking at, don't really like the pitching after what we just saw with those splits with Smiley. And we don't really have a lot of sample size with the pitcher on the mound for Pittsburgh. So all offense in that game, if you want to look at the covers here, they got an open line of over under 9. They're going with the Cubs because of Beto. He's very inexperienced and doesn't have a large sample size. So more of the money is going to go on Chicago in this game, especially coming off an 11-run outing yesterday. I kind of agree with that. They got a better veteran, but don't be surprised if this game gets out of hand and they may knock Smiley out by the 3rd or 4th inning. This is a very good game to target today. As for weather, As for weather, let's do this here. Let's go to DK Live. It's not showing any precipitation at all. I just want to be on the safe side, guys. And wind is blowing in about 5 miles an hour, clear skies. So I do like this game. I told everybody, don't sleep on Chicago yesterday. Don't sleep on both of these teams today. Please don't. So far, man, with the exception of the Mets and Yankees game, we got a lot of offense in the 7 and 8 o'clock games. A lot of offense. And we're going over. Let's go to the next game, man. Got Cincy and Kansas City. And we saw that game yesterday. I thought it was going to be a lot of offense in that game. Had a run total in that game of 9 runs yesterday, right? Today they got an over-under of 9 again. So the Royals are slightly favored. Well, I take that back. They got minus 110 for them, yeah, and then plus 100 on this side. But this is, everybody's liking Cincinnati from the fan standpoint. I can see why I don't have a lot of stock in Daniel Lynch either. They're playing in Kansas City again. Kansas City is the bottom of their division, but they're playing loose also. That's another that's another team, man. That they got a lot of young boys out there just running the bases and playing for their futures. They're losers of their last 8. So this is a night where Kansas City can bring a win home. If they're tired of losing, this is a game that they could actually win, man. So let's look at Cincinnati side and try to prove that projection. Been lively, 4.21 ERA, 3-4. No sample size against Kansas City this year. On the road, high ERA, 4.91. It's giving you 13 fantasy points. 1-2, got a losing record. 14 innings, he's giving up 15 hits. That's not bad. He's giving up a hit per inning. He gave up 8 runs in 14 innings on the road. 3 home runs in 14 innings. Not really striking out a ton of people. That's not a good sample size for me. And his game log, last 2 games against St. Louis, 7 spot in 6 innings. He does get Ks though, but it's not helping his cause because he's giving up too many hits and runs. So what's the sense of you being a strikeout pitcher if you can't keep people off the bases, right? So I don't really like Ben Lively a lot. I'm not gonna get into that. These two are 2 underperforming teams. I don't want to spend too much time on them. This is all offense here. Daniel Lynch, a lefty. First thing I say, okay, are there any right-handers in Cincinnati's lineup that can take advantage of him? And most definitely, the first person that comes to mind is Jonathan India, but we'll get to that in a minute. Hasn't won a game this year. He hasn't had a 20-point fantasy point out this year. Hasn't had a 7-inning pitch game this year. Giving up 8 hits in 6 innings against Baltimore. 6 and 5 innings versus Colorado. Just not good. 3 earned runs, 3 earned runs. I mean, he looks like he's averaging about 5 strikeouts a game, so he might give you 1 strikeout an inning, but it's leading to mediocrity. And then he's going against a Cincinnati team that's not really playing for much. Let's look at the standings and let's try to prove where we at. Cincinnati, they're 2 games under 500. They do still have a chance to catch flame here, but their pitching, their rotation is not that good. They're a very young team. It's just Pittsburgh and just Milwaukee. The teams that have normally led this division, they're underachieving this year. Cubs, St. Louis. I think eventually Milwaukee will run away with this division, but Cincinnati, I'll take that back. I mean, they do still have something to play for. Winners of their last 4, but again, they still got some learning curves on that team. On the consensus, yeah, that's what I was thinking. 73% for the Reds, so I do agree with that. I think the Reds have the better opportunity to close this game out today. However, the veterans and some of the young boys with talent on Kansas City might have something to say with that. If I was in their shoes, I would be tired of losing. They got to get a win somewhere, right? Even if this guy can just keep the ER on the 3, they may have a chance to win going up against the pitcher on the mound for Cincinnati. So let's look at their hitters. Do they have a lineup? Bobby Witt did. I think he did his thing yesterday. He was in double-digit fantasy. He had a home run. Didn't steal a base. If he had a stolen base or so, he would have had over 20. It starts with him, man. I ain't gonna even lie. In that cleanup spot. Got Salvi, 14 home runs. He's pretty much the captain, the leader of this team. He can go deep. I really keep my eyes on this game. I mean, they got Prado up there at the top for a reason. He's in for a good average. He's going to give you something. I don't like his strikeouts here. Striking out a lot for a leadoff hitter. He needs to take a little bit more walks. He looks like he's just being very aggressive. But he's another lefty. So I do like the strength of the left-handers. They move Melendez up to the 3rd spot, which I think is very good. He's another lefty that he can have a big game when he wants to. He's still trying to find himself. I'm a big fan of this guy, but he hasn't put it all together like Bobby Witt has. He does have some talent. Today is the day he might go deep. I like the left-hand bats for Kansas City today. I do. I really do. Um, I like Bobby Witt. He's righty, but I do like what he can do there. They're hurting with Pasquantino being out. I like Prado's leading off as a left-hand presence. This guy being out, man, was hurting them. And he has a torn labium. And he's going to be out for the rest. They say he's going to be, look at it, expected to miss the remainder of the season. That's a big blow to Kansas City. I like this. Pasquantino, I really like this guy, where he was going, man. He was a big left-hand bat at the top of that order. That's hurting them right now. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be loose. They're going to have to get something out of Olivares tonight, too. You can do a Kansas City stack if you want. At least roster at least 3 of their players. They're not very, outside of Perez and Witt Jr., everybody else is pretty affordable. Massey can even come out and have a good game at times. So there's some interest there for me. So on this, don't really like any of the pitchers. I do favor bats in this. To me, it's a toss-up. I don't know who's going to win the game. It's going to be probably another close game with a lot of runs. I'm rooting for Kansas City to get out of the slump that they're in. I'm rooting for Witt and Melendez, Olivares, Salvi, Prado. I'm rooting for them guys to have a good game at home, but they got to put it together. All right. As for the Cincinnati side, I got Newman leading off today, ironically. Fairchild moves up a little bit in the 7th spot. India, again, he's looking good, man. I mean, 4,800. We've seen his salary be almost 6,000 back on the 28th. So you're getting a good price for India today. And if you look at the expected lineup, I mean, Newman, McClain. McClain is a very good rookie. They got De La Cruz. Again, he's switch hitter. I'm gonna be tuned into this game. I got some very good young players like De La Cruz and Melendez and Bobby Witt and India, McClain. This is a game you can just stack like players from both sides, scrap the pitchers and buy up on the pitching and get some popcorn and see what goes on. This might be a crazy game for real. But another good game. One team fighting to be in their division with Cincinnati, and another team with really bad pitching with Greinke and Lynch and some of these other guys, man, just trying to find themselves. Very sad for Kansas City. I believe the team they deserve more. Not a lot of precipitation. The wind is blowing out. Over under on RotoWire 9.5. This game might even be more like in the 12 to 15 run kind of range. Really like the offense in that game. All right, so let's move on to the next matchup. And Houston had a very good showing yesterday. I had a few Houston players. I didn't have Tucker, unfortunately, in my lineup yesterday. But I'm a big fan of this guy on the mound, Valdez, 10,300. Get him in your lineup. He's going to turn some of those lefties around in Washington. Candelario going to have to bat from the right side. He's better lefty. Meneses, I'm a big fan of him. He's just in a bad organization. If you had Meneses on another team, he'd probably be a star in this league. Smith, he can be a pest, but Valdez should handle him. Lane Thomas is probably one of their better players. He can always be a black sheep, So if you want to go contrarian with Washington, they got a tough matchup. I ain't going to lie, the hitters. But it'll be Lane Thomas, Meneses. For me, I would just really focus on them two players. I don't really like anybody else. I'm really liking Valdez matchup today. Josiah Gray, we're getting to him. He's a righty. Again, this team is very deceiving, even without Alvarez in the lineup, they can still generate runs with anybody. I mean, the bottom of that order can get going with Jokes and Myers. Maldonado got a home run yesterday. Dubon is doing his thing. They got Altuve and Bregman, so that whole 1 through 5, you can even mix in Myers and Jokes for salary and put in Altuve, Bregman, and Abreu. I think you gotta have Dubon in there. He sets the tone. Let's look at the over/under in this game. Let's look at the matchup. So I already know they're gonna be heavy favorites because of Valdez on the mound. Minus 245 on the money line. So you gotta have some money to bring $100 back. Leaning towards pitching. It's only an 8 on the open. Sorry about that. The line movement is even up to 260 now. This is all Valdez, man. Dominating. They're 19-14 at home, 38-29. Let's look at what they're up against. So they're 3.5 games behind their interstate rival Texas. So they're winners. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They got to handle business tonight. They can't drop games to Washington. So I'm all Houston. I'm not a big fan of Washington or anything. Just put a Houston stack in there. Get their veterans. Roster Valdez. Roll the dice. They're not. It's not a 9-10 implied run. Like, come on. I mean, who's generating the runs in a open 8 line? You know, and you got a dominant pitcher like Valdez on the mound. Washington will be lucky to get one run tonight. So if they're gonna get another 7-8 runs tonight, that's all on the Houston side. So you definitely want to stack Houston. They're looking good. And that's about it, man. We'll move on. Man, I'm pretty sure if you play MLB like I do every day, you know how to stack Houston. All right, we got the Tampa Bay and Oakland. And Oakland, they're looking like the David and Goliath analogy in the majors right now. They are like not intimidated by any Goliaths right now. They are taking their competition head on. So a big upgrade for Tampa Bay to get Glasnow back in the mix of things. In his last outing against Texas, he did good on the knife. You know, he was out for a while, so he only has 3 starts on the year. He hasn't lost. He finally picked up a win against a very tough opponent in Texas. Strikeouts used to be very dominant on the mound before his injuries. He used to be in that 8 to 10 strikeouts when he hit the mound. He's kind of regressed down to like more between, like 5 to 8 now. So this is a good matchup for him. I like him on the mound today. I really do. Oakland, they will strike out. Let's look at their lineup today, if we can catch it. Ruiz is always going to be a pest at the top with speed and a little bit of ability to hit the ball in the gaps and get doubles and triples. He could be a thorn in Glasnow's heel today. Noda and Brown got power left hand side. They've moved Jace Peterson up to the 5th spot. They've taken Laureano out. Their top 5 is solid right now based on how they've been playing. This could be one of those matchups where you look and be like, oh man, Glasnow, he should run through it. Nah, man. I mean, Glasnow still needs to come and continue. He only has 3-game sample size this year. So he needs to show that he can beat an opponent that he should beat. He hasn't had one of those games where he has like a heavy underdog. So let's see if he doesn't pitch down to his competition, right? Again, only 29% for Oakland on the fan consensus, 71% heavy money line, minus 275. They have a pretty good road record, 17-15. Tampa Bay, again, the Yankees, they're not going away. They're 8 games. Baltimore, they're not going away. Tampa Bay have lost their last 2. This is a must-win situation for them. Definitely like Tampa Bay, right? Medina is on the mound for Oakland. Nothing very positive to say about a guy that's scoring a 7.53 ERA and going against one of the top hitting teams, and run batters in teams, RBI teams in the league. Tough matchup for him. He's a righty. If we go back to the over/under, what are we looking at here? 8.5. I'm saying probably 7 of those runs are Tampa Bay runs. Honestly, Oakland they might get 1 or 2, but I can see Tampa Bay putting like 7 to 10 runs up in this game, especially after losing like they have. All right. If we look at their lineup, they got Diaz leading off, Franco, Lau, Arizarena, Paredes, Lucarelli, Siri, the usual suspects. You don't have Margot in the lineup, but top of the order is looking good. Lead off hitter, check. Franco, check. Josh Lau, check. Arizarena, check. Lefty, Lucarelli, check. You might want to take Paredes out and get another lefty in there. That can be your stack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. That'll be your stack right there. If you want to take Diaz out, you can maybe put Wall. You could probably keep Paredes or Walls in there. But they're looking good, man. Get some Tampa Bay bats in your lineup. If you're in a single entry, a Tampa Bay stack wouldn't be bad tonight at all. Nothing to really say. All Tampa Bay here. I don't really like anything with Oakland. I mean, you could sprinkle. If you want to take some one-offs with them, you can go with Ruiz and I think Noda. Yeah, lefty. Those are the only two players I really like. I know Rooker has some good games here, but I would stick with the lefties. I'll just go with Noda and Ruiz. That's about it, man. I can't really put him any more stock. I like Glass now, man. All right, moving on from that game, we got Miami and Seattle. And let's kind of refresh this page. Let's see if we get some more confirmed lineups for any of the late games. Not certain if we have, but let's give it a shot. If not, we'll go back to RotoWire. And according to RotoWire, 2 expected lineups. Seattle don't really play their lineup too much. They may move players around, but they do have Ford in there now. And Caballero had a great game the other day. He's kind of a sneaky guy at the bottom of that order. Luis Castillo, one of my favorite pitchers in the league. He just has a lot of grit. He has charisma up there in the mound. He takes pride in what he does up there. I'm already liking him already without even breaking down Miami right now. So we don't have no expected lineups right now for them here. So we're going to just kind of fly this. But if we go to the matchups on covers, we got 59% consensus, 41% for Miami. This is all pitching, honestly. I'm going to look up Perez here in a minute, Yuri Perez, but don't really see a lot of offense coming from the Miami side. More of the offense will definitely come from Seattle. Miami, if you want to take the league leader in hitting, Arares would be your guy. But let's look at Perez. 3-1, 30 strikeouts. The last 5 matchups have been pretty easy matchups. We're talking about the White Sox, Oakland, Anaheim, Colorado, and Washington. That's not really big competition. And he's held his own in all of them except for that game against Colorado. He had 5 fantasy points. So Seattle, to me, is a tier above all of those teams, respectively. I know Anaheim is playing good right now, but he beat Anaheim and he beat Oakland and he beat Washington. Had a no decision against the White Sox, and he lost against Colorado. When you look at his metrics, this is a big red flag. He got a 4-walk game here, 3 walks. So he had 4 innings pitched and walked 3 batters. All right. Then he had a 5-inning pitch game and gave up 5 hits and 2 walks and a long ball. these are not very formidable opponents, and he's pitching pretty mediocre. He's getting away with it. He's putting some FBTS, but he's going against a team, Seattle, that can put up runs. They can put a ball over the fence at that, too. In away games, 2.5 on the ERA. His whip is higher. Not a good FPPG. 4 earned runs in 14 innings pitched. High hit counts. He's almost giving up a hit per inning. So he's kind of learning. He has some good spots. I don't think he will hurt them too much tonight. But I don't think he's going to do anything to overwhelm Seattle at the same time. Let's look at, their standout guy in the lineup. Julio didn't do anything yesterday. So can this be a bounce back game for him? Possibly. I don't think talented players can just keep putting up goose eggs like that. So if we go, let's look him up. So go Julio Rodriguez versus Wright. Alright, so let's look him up versus right hand. We're going to focus more on the favorite of Seattle. 12 home runs, not bad. 12 stolen bases. I do watch this guy a lot. He'll take off. So versus Wright, not bad. Guy got nine home runs. He's faced a lot of right-hand pitchers. He's holding his own there. 10 stolen bases. OPS .716. Slugging pretty average. .421. Average is a little bit less. He's taking more at bats versus righties than lefties, but serviceable .231. You kind of want that more up in the 250 and up. But he has a lot of experience. 8 doubles, 18 extra base hits. At home, .809 OPS, 268 average. 7 of his 12 home runs have come from home. I like Julio. I like everything you see right there. Get him in your lineup tonight. I like Raleigh. I called Raleigh out yesterday. I said he was a great play. He put up 22 points. I think he keeps that going today. Banned from the left-hand side. I'm not certain if Suarez is going to be in the lineup tonight, but roster him. He's been showing good consistency. And this guy, if I'm not mistaken, I think they got Ford in the lineup. Mike Ford. He's going to be in there as a lefty, and his power stroke is back. His power stroke is back. This guy used to play for the Yankees. They let him go, so he's only 2,100. He can definitely help you get the likes of Garrett Cole in your lineup. So, like I said, when these guys are hot, you got to keep playing them until they show you something different. So, all Seattle there. Don't really like Miami. Again, Castillo's a tough guy, man. He's tough on the mound. The only guy I think that can deal with him on the Miami side is probably Soler and Arraez. Maybe De La Cruz. But I don't want to put a lot of stock into them. And he can paint that outside corner versus righties better with the best of them. So Soler had those 2 big games. He's kind of cooled off a little bit. If you want to test Castillo, it's going to have to be with Arraez and Soler. I don't know if Arraez he had 2 donuts. That's not like him. His average is going down to 382. So he might fight a little bit there at the top of the order, fight some pitches off. He might get you a double or maybe a multi-hit game, but he doesn't hit for a lot of power. The guy only has 1 home run. And if you got people behind you that can't bring you in, if you get on base, that's useless too. But Arraez and Soler, that's about it. I mean, Seattle looks like a strong play today, guys. Going to the next one, we got Cleveland and San Diego. San Diego picked up that win. This is going to be a deceiving game because the Guardians are a team, they have pride. Alright? They put up 3 runs yesterday. Walker's on the mound. Walker's a very seasoned veteran. He's very crafty with his pitches. He can move the ball around. He might give Cleveland a little bit of issue today. But again, Cleveland, they don't strike out a lot. This guy Savali for Cleveland, I can already tell you, he's fool's gold, man. Last 3 games, he's giving up about 5 runs. 5 innings, not really giving you a lot. Getting into the 7th inning. 2 earned runs, gave up the long ball against Boston. Again, last 3 games, not really great opponents, but he's been mediocre. He has a low ERA, but still, that's due to the competition he's been going up against. He had a no decision against Minnesota. He did good against Seattle on the road. So he's on the road again. Road games, he's actually done very good. 1-0. 6 hits and 12 innings pitches. 3 walks. Whip looks good. So if you want to play him, you can. But San Diego, like I said, I wouldn't want to put any one of his stats. He's not a power pitcher. So I wouldn't want to put him up against a team like San Diego, especially at home where they're trying to turn things around and give their fan base some euphemism. I wouldn't do that at all. Cleveland, they don't have a lineup out yet, once again. So they're expecting Quan, Rosario, Ramirez, Naylor. Again, when a right-hander is on the mound versus Cleveland, that's more to their strengths. More of their power comes from left-handers. So that isn't one up for them. By any means, Walker is not an untouchable. He can get hit, right? So Savali has been pretty mediocre. He hasn't been hurting them, but again, San Diego they got a high payroll for a reason, and they can hurt you when they start seeing things what they want. So Tatis is always a menace. They got Cronenworth up in the 2 spot, so that's very interesting. Normally Cronenworth is like 5, 6, or 7. So they're moving Bogart. I think they're trying to get Bogarts going. He's been a big disappointment this year, man. Honestly, he used to be one of my favorite players when he was on the Red Sox, when him and Mookie used to play, but I don't know what's going on with him this year. I think he might be playing through some kind of injury or something. But not to take shine away from Cleveland, I see some opportunities for Cleveland. Quan, Ramirez, he's one of my favorite players in the league. Naylor can take you deep. Bell can take you deep. Gimenez should be back in the lineup. Brennan can have a breakout game. So Gimenez is still day to day, so he's probably not going to play today. That sucks for them because say he didn't start yesterday, so I don't know. It's yet to be confirmed. He might play, he might not, but I see some. Where's my boy at? I see some opportunities for Cleveland, and that depends on if Quan can get on base. If Quan can have a double-digit FPTS, if he can get things rolling, then Walker's gonna have to think about some of the hitters coming up behind him, like Ramirez, Naylor, who just swings wildly at the plate. But if he connects, he can be like a Devers kind of player in that lineup. So don't sleep on Cleveland. You can roster a few of them. I'm pretty sure, I don't have to look at it, I'm pretty sure that everybody's kind of on San Diego. So yeah, not by much. They're minus 165. That's actually pretty good, but I think that's a little tainted. Both pitchers have decent ERAs, so that's the reason why the over-under is not at 9 or 9.5. They think pitching can be more effective in this game than the bats. So 16 and 18 at home for San Diego. They're trying to get back above 500 there. 15 and 18 on the road. These two teams are almost pretty similar in records. 31-35 for Cleveland, 32-34. So kind of mirror images. I don't see anything really hot on both sides. If you want to look up what Soto has been doing lately, I've been kind of waiting for him to have a Sports Center highlight night, but it hasn't come yet. And DraftKings, they do not let down on his salary. $6,100 for what? 8 points back on the 9th, nothing against Colorado on the 10th, 2 points against Colorado here, 7 against Cleveland. He hasn't went deep in ages. So I can keep saying put Soto in the lineup, but Soto ain't doing Soto things. But if they're going to generate runs, it's definitely going to be from the lefties. Soto, Cronenworth. I'm pretty sure Grisham is going to be in there. Sanchez has been on a tear lately. I guess he likes the sunny skies of San Diego, but he's been playing pretty good lately. He's kind of finding himself. I'm happy for the young guy because they ran him out of New York real fast. This team can be dangerous on any night. Trust me, San Diego. When they play together and they cheering each other up, they can be dangerous. Kind of appears to me like Bogarts is trying to come out of his slump. He has hit safely in his last 4 games. Not hitting for a lot of power, but he's always been one of the more better contact hitters in the league. So give him a shot tonight. If you want to go against the pitcher tonight for Cleveland, it's not projecting like a offensive like big game, but still at the end of the day, this is San Diego. So they do have a lot of talent in that lineup. Cleveland needs to win, but they got their hands full tonight. I'm sorry, man. They do. I do root for them, but at the end of the day, they're 6-4 in their last 10. I mean, they played solid ball, man. They do. Let's look at the Padres. They're 8.5 games out. They're 6-4 in their last 10. So again, these teams are kind of almost mirror images of one another, and they both need to keep winning to try to move up in the rankings. So very interesting game. That's a game I'll probably tune into to see who wants it more. Philly and Arizona. Let's see if Arizona. None of these teams are gonna have lineups out. Let's go to here. Let's try to refresh it. See if anything updates. What a comeback for Atlanta, man. They were down with Strider and they came back in that game. Very impressive, man. All right. Okay, so we got some confirmed lineups here for San Diego. So we got Tatis, Soto, Machado, yep, and then Juan Rosario. So yeah, that's 8.5 implied run total. This is a very interesting game right here, man. I mean, these two pitchers are not really power pitchers, not heavy strikeout pitchers, and you got some very you got a lot of power here and you got a lot of discipline here. So that's a very good mixture right there. Arizona, Merrill Kelly, probably the second best pitcher in their rotation behind Gallen. 8-3 record going against Ranger Suarez for Philly. I don't know what to say. They had a meltdown in Arizona last night. It was very disappointing. They let Philly run away, just roll on them yesterday, and that's part of the game. Sometimes teams just can't get them together. So I'm pretty sure the coaching staff was very upset. Look at what's happening. They got Perdomo at the top of the lineup now. They're moving Gurriel out of 2 and put him in 3. Christian Walker sustains his 4th spot. McCarthy had a good hit last night, running the bases. I think he had a triple. Yep, I remember that. McCarthy doing his thing down there as a lefty. Again with Marte, no Carroll. Hey, those are 2 of their better guys. No Rojas, no Moreno. They're tanking in this lineup today after getting their ass whooped yesterday. So, hey, put Suarez in your damn lineup today. No Carroll, no Marte. I know they can probably do something, but that doesn't look good for Arizona. That lineup looks weak as I don't know what. Merrill Kelly, let's look at him. And okay, I just gave a vote of confidence to Suarez. Of course, he has a high ERA. He had a great game against the Dodgers, 23 fantasy points. He took care of business against Washington. He hasn't lost. Well, against the Mets he lost, but he had a no decision in 1, 2, 3. 3 out of his last 5 games with no decisions. And one of them he won decisively against Washington, a lot of run support. And he lost to the Mets. He only gave up 2 runs in that game, so it wasn't bad. He's not a power pitcher consistently. He did have the 8 against the Dodgers. I don't know what. He was juiced up on something that game. I was surprised, but yeah, definitely you can play him against Arizona. He's been pitching pretty decent in his last few. games. I mean, the 4.70 doesn't give him any justice because he had that negative game against Chicago. He didn't start off the season very good, but he's been coming on here lately. And again, Arizona lineup, they're not scaring anybody today. All right, so Merrill Kelly, pray for him that he gets some run support. Very good win-loss record today this year. He's won 1, 2, 3, 4. His last 5 games, he's won. Didn't look too good against Detroit, but he's been doing good this year. Can he stabilize Philly? I don't know, man. If Philly does anything like what they did yesterday, if they continue off of what they did yesterday, it's going to be a long night. I mean, Harper is hungry, man. I've been watching him swing the bat. He's swinging ferociously up there. He might go yard today. This park is a hitter's park, man. I mean, you can get triples. Things go to the gap. Kind of hard to get homers out of there, but it's a wide gap kind of park, and I think that bodes well for Philly. I mean, I think this park is a dream for Trey Turner if he can, exercise himself in this game. He got 24 yesterday and 2 hits. I really think Trey likes playing in this park. I like Philly again tonight. Honestly, I know Kelly has some talent on the mound, but if let's go over to covers and kind of cover what they see. Minus 135 for Merrick Kelly. 8.5 over under. I'm seeing more runs, more shifted. I don't know where they got this line at, man. I'm sorry. They put a lot of stock into Kelly, man, but I disagree. I think he ain't gonna get enough run support. And Ranger been doing pretty good. They took for granted that outing he had against the Dodgers. I don't know about that, man. They're holding their own on the road. They're trying to. 29%. Why 29% for the feeling? You saw what they did yesterday. Did y'all not look at the lineup for Arizona today? That's fool's gold. So I'll come back on the show tomorrow. We'll review my predictions for Arizona and Philly, but I'm off Philly today. I don't like anything from Arizona. Honestly, outside of Kelly, I don't really like anything. You can pitch him, but I don't think he's gonna get enough run support to win the game. Man, I don't really see anybody in their lineup doing too much to Suarez. I mean, if you're gonna take somebody, maybe Gurriel. You have to go with Gurriel and Walker. Outside of that, I don't really like anybody else. And last game but not least, we got the Dodgers and the White Sox. That was a 5-1 yesterday. They got all pro Kershaw on the mound, lefty, going against the White Sox. No sample size or splits. The guy's been pitching decent all year. I mean, when he's on, he's going to give you 7 strong innings. Going to give you at least 8 to 10 strikeouts. He's going to minimize the long ball. He's going to get a lot of ground balls. That's classic Kershaw, man. I mean, he's a lefty. You look at the lineup. We're not going to spend a lot on this. I mean, I'm a big Kershaw fan. He got a lot of righties in the lineup. Anderson, he looks like he's lost a tad or two at the plate. He's not the Tim Anderson of old. Adavon could be a threat. He does have pull power. Same thing with Robert Jr. But I think Kershaw, man, Robert Jr. is not very disciplined at the plate. Eloy Jimenez, he's hot and cold. Jake Berger. He's turning Grandal around to the right side. I don't really care too much for this lineup. Now, they could do something, don't get me wrong. Let's look at what cover says. They got a minus 275 for the Dodgers. That's heavy, man. 8 over under. Clevenger has not been the Clevenger. He had those highlights when he was with Cleveland, but he's lost a lot at the plate, man. The Dodgers got a great matchup against Clevenger today. I'm not gonna front. I mean, he's only averaging 12.2 FPG this year. Look, these are very sad numbers for this guy. He can barely get out the 5-6 inning. His last win was against Cleveland, his old team. But he's not getting a lot of strikeouts this year. Only 48. 4.19 ERA. Not good against the Yankees. Not good against Kansas City. He's a mediocre team. Cincinnati. That's not good, man. He had a minus .8 against Toronto. Minus 1.5 against Philly. Let's see what their expected lineup is. I don't think the Dodgers have a confirmed lineup, but it looks like something's going on with Muncy. But this team they're hard to put away, and he doesn't have the tools to do that. So, Betts looks good. Freeman, Will Smith, Martinez, Peralta has been feeling in very good lately here for Muncy. Hayward has been very solid. I mean, I like everybody in Dodgers lineup, honestly. They're the late game. I don't know how you would want to mix them in, but I would get that going. The only person I would probably say if you want to go contrarian, I would go with the guy who's going to probably get the most at bats. It's kind of sad that Tim Anderson doesn't even have a home run this year. His stolen bases are down. He's not getting on his OPS used to be a lot higher than that. It's not even over 7. He only got 10 RBIs on the year. This guy doesn't even want to play baseball anymore. So maybe you take a flyer on Tim Anderson. If you're going to go with anybody, you got to go with somebody who can put the ball over the fence, and it's this guy. If he gets lucky and Kershaw hangs one of those sliders, he might get lucky. It's between Robert Anderson and what's my guy, Adam Vaughn. Those are the only 3 players that I really would hype up against Kershaw. If he kind of just gets a little loose and takes one of these guys for granted, these are the guys who can take him deep or get an extra base hit. Tim Anderson can get maybe a double or triple. If he gets on base, he can steal. And maybe, that translates to a lowly owned Chicago Whites player that gets you 15 points, and that can move you up a lot, right? So a lot of Sharks, they're not going to want to go against Kershaw in this game. I don't advise it, but if you want to strategize and go that way, that's what I would do. All right, so we're going to wrap it up. Try to post this so you guys can kind of review it. And if you made it through this far, I appreciate it very much. And I said, we're going to continue to be consistent. So good luck on everything, man. Y'all do your thing.